So, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about WeVideo today. And WeVideo is a video editing software. And I'm going to kind of just take you through the process that you would go through both as a teacher and as an actual editor of a video. So you know what your students would be doing when they're editing their videos. And so I'm going to be creating a group. You'll be joining my group similarly to how your students are part of your groups that have been rostered to you or part of groups that you've created. And then as I'm sharing my screen, you'll be able to see kind of that viewpoint of what I see as a teacher, so that what you would see as well, and then also the viewpoint of the student, since you'll be participating like a student today. So I'm going to go ahead and move y'all over here. And then I'm going to share my screen. So unless for some reason your site has purchased WeVideo licenses, for most people, I've already spoken to you, but I'm assuming everyone in this group, your sites have not purchased your own WeVideo licenses. You're using the district license for now. And we have a district pilot through the end of November, and we're hoping to get it funded for the rest of this school year and maybe beyond. And a lot of that will have to do, of course, with the amount of use that it gets. So if you are accessing it and you're not working off of paid licenses that your site has purchased separately, you're going to go through the portal and you'll find that WeVideo icon. So you can go ahead and do that now. Get to the portal, portal.easusd.net, and then log in and click on WeVideo. And when you do that, your screen should look similar to mine. And just if there's anybody who's new to Google Meet, at the bottom is where you're going to see all those controls for mute, unmute, turning your camera on and off, raising your hand, and then also the chat in the far right in the bottom. You'll see the little conversation bubble you can open up. So you can always unmute to ask questions, or you can ask questions in the chat as we get started. So when you first open it from the portal, you will see a page that looks like this. So you'll see your library and then your templates. So this is a library of templates that have already been created. And then in the My Templates tab, you'll see any templates that you've created. And then on the left-hand side here, you'll see the main navigation that you'll be using to be able to access projects that you've created, media that you've already imported, and then videos that you've created. Here where you see that create new, this is where you can start if you're creating your own video and you just want to do one that'll be in your library, not something that you're trying to create to share with your students. So just kind of your own work that you're doing. You can create a video using footage that you've taken with a camera or with a phone, or you can use its recording feature, which would allow you to use your webcam, your screen, or both. And then you can also do a GIF or a podcast. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see recent videos that you have created. And if you have a video that you would like to continue working on, there's these three dots. Those will be important in WeVideo. There's also a blue circle that becomes important all the time in WeVideo. But if you click on those three dots, you'll get your menu and you'd be able to edit from there. So we're going to work though, if you were just starting out with your class, where you would start, and that would be here in groups. So up in the top right-hand corner, you should see a button that says groups. And when you click on that, you'll see any groups that have already been created for you. So because we're using ClassLink rostering, you should have groups that have been created for the rosters that you have in Synergy. And if you have a student that's maybe missing from there, I'll show you in a minute how you can add them, because you're going to join my group in that way. So then here on the Groups tab, to create a new group, I can go down to that blue circle in the bottom right-hand corner and click the addition symbol for Create Group. And I'm going to give it a title. So I'm going to call this Training Group, September 7th. And then I could, in theory, add all of my members from here if I really wanted to. But when you're working with a group of students, or maybe you have a bunch of different students who are going to join, it's not the most efficient way. So when I'm creating a group, I'm just going to give it a title, and then I'm going to come down, scroll down here, and click Create. I'll skip that step right now of adding members. So then here in groups, I can see all the groups that either I've created or that have been created for me with the ClassLink rostering. And then when I open that group, I see a variety of tabs and pieces of information that are important. One is the members. So any group members that are already there, so maybe that have been rostered through ClassLink, you should see. So you should see students that are in your classes from Synergy. And then any projects that we've created as part of that group will appear here. And then any videos that have been completed, that have been finished and published and exported as part of that group will also appear on that group page. Then over here on the left-hand side, you see your add members to group, rename, start a group project, add or change the manager, or delete group. If you need to delete the group, that might be something you do on your own. You can rename the group. And you'll be definitely using this part here, start a group project. You don't really necessarily need to add or change the manager because you're creating those groups. You should be the manager of that group. But you will want to be able to have students join your group as well. So if I add members, then if I need to add an individual student, maybe it had rostered almost all of my students, but not all of them, then I can add that individual student here. I could search for a student and add them. Most students should be appearing in our class. I'm sorry, in our group license. If there's students who have already joined with another license, like if you have somebody at your site, a media teacher, or somebody who has purchased licenses, they might be part of that person's group, but normally you would be able to add anybody that's in your school if you need to. All right, hold on, let me find my code here. There we go. My code had disappeared for a second. So I just went back and opened my group again. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you have a group code, and that's the code that you're going to give to students so that they can join your group. So I'm going to put that code in the chat, and then I'm going to have you join my group. And when you are on the home page, in the bottom left-hand corner, you should see a button that says Join Group or Class. And you will click Join Group or Class and then enter that code, and then you'll click Join. And again, if you're creating a new group for students, that's usually the easiest, the fastest way to have them join. So I put that code there in the chat, and then I will see if I can zoom in. I'll display it there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and have everybody in the group today join with that group code. And you might have noticed I reloaded my page. So sometimes if you don't see the students joining right away, if you reload, then you'll see your students. All right, we'll give just about 30 more seconds for anybody else who needs to join. All right, so once you have students though in a group, then you can start a group project. So I'm going to go ahead on the left-hand side there and click Start a Group Project. And we're going to call this Training Project 197-2021. And then you could give a description, right? You can either put instructions for the students here, or you can just kind of give a brief description of what their project is. And then down here, you're going to see two options when it's a group project. Personal is grayed out right now because I'm not creating a personal project. I'm already in a group. I'm starting a group project, so it already knows to take on those group permissions. The biggest difference between collaborative and shared is that with collaborative, you're going to have students who are can work together real time on the same video. So not only are they sharing media and they're sharing resources, they're actually sharing the same exact timeline. Any changes that one student makes to that timeline will be reflected on the other student's video that they're seeing on their screen. So in that case, you would use that if you want to have multiple students working on the same video and you're going to end with one product, one video at the end. You would choose the shared option if you want each student to create their own video, but they have access then to shared media. So maybe there's something that they're taking footage, each student's taking different footage, and you want to be able to have that shared with other people, or you're providing footage for them to use or pictures for them to use. And if that's the case and you want each of them, though, to create their own project in the end, then you would choose that shared option. So that's what we're going to do today because um, you guys don't necessarily need to collaborate with one final video. Be a lot of people for collaborating. If you do choose collaborative, then you would identify which members would be part of that group. So you could do a collaborative project with just 2 students or just 3 students. It wouldn't have to be the whole group. But I'm going to choose shared for today, and then I would click next. And then if there's any media I want to add, then I could add that right now. I can do it later as well, or I can add it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add this little part that I did right before that just said, this is some shared media. And then once I've added that media, I can click next. And then I can create a video right away myself, or I can click finish. So now on your page, if you go to projects and you go to shared with me, you should see a project that says training project 1. Or no, wait, what did I call it? I don't remember what I called it. No, I gave it a long name. Hold on. You should see a project that says training project 1, 9/7/21. You don't have projects at all, Trisha?
I have the word projects, but when I'm under there, there's nothing on my projects or shared with me. There's nothing under either of them.
Okay. And you reloaded when you went to shared with me?
Ah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sometimes, especially like when we're, on a video call, it's like it, it
Okay.
always has us reload.
I did it once, but I must have did it too soon.
Okay. So once you're in that project, from a teacher perspective, what you're going to see is any edits that students have already created, any exports, so finalized videos that they've done, and then any project media that you've already shared with them, any linked resources, and then your members. And so here I can see that I have the members of this whole training group and then myself. So it doesn't list out my members individually because I already have them listed in the group. So before you have your students work, you might give them some media to work with. So again, I added that when I was creating the project, but if you have media that you would like to add later, then you can click to share media. You can just right click in the space underneath here, or again, the blue circle usually gives you a menu in WeVideo. So if you go to the blue circle on the top right and click, then you can choose for your media here. Now, if you have a lot of media, what I would do normally is I would try to figure out what I called it and then use the Control F feature, the find feature, to be able to find that piece of media in the list. Because if you have a lot of media, it's not organized necessarily in a way that's super easy to get to. So you can add media though if you want them to work with those particular clips, with those particular photos or whatever it is, or even if it's audio, any media that you would like them to use, you can add that in. And then here in linked resources, you can also link a resource. So maybe you have a rubric that you're using to grade the video. Maybe you have a script that you have created all together, or maybe you have like a template for a script that you'd like them to use. So you can link resources from Google Drive. And then that way they don't have to keep going back and forth between, maybe you've put the assignment in Google Classroom and then in WeVideo, they can access the resource directly there through WeVideo. And then again, here we have our members and then edits and exports. So then your students would access that project the same way that you do. They don't see groups up here, but they would see projects on the left and they would click shared with me and they can find that project. And then within that project, they can start and edit. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. One, they can click here with start, or again, the circle on the top right, the blue circle, they can create a new edit that they're going to do from scratch, or they can create it from a template. So right now, we all together are going to create a new edit from scratch. We're not going to use a template. And then later in the session, we'll choose a template and use that. You can kind of see the differences and what you might have to anticipate when you're walking students through it for the first time. So you can either start a new one by clicking start or create new edit with that circle on the right. And then you should get to the editor portion.
Erica, mine looks different from yours. Is that because I'm doing it as a student?
It depends. I don't, what looks different?
I don't have like those like folder things looking. Mine
Okay.
just says drag and drop your media here.
Yeah. So the reason most of you won't see the folders and you won't see anything there yet because you don't have any media. So I have folders because I've used WeVideo for a number of years and for a variety of projects. So this is all media that I have imported into WeVideo. So once you import media as well, that's where you'll see it. So when you first open the editor, it's here on the My Media tab. And then the My Media folders open here on the left-hand side. So I've organized some of my media into folders, and I do highly suggest that, both for students and for for you if you're creating your own edits, just because it makes it easier instead of having to scroll through and try to locate all the footage. So to create a folder, so we'll go ahead and do that now. To create a folder, you can right click in that gray space and choose new folder. All right. So then when you create a new folder, it'll be there in your My Media. And then on the left-hand side, you'll also see Project Media. And so you should see the shared clip that I shared with you. So if students are going to be working with media, then they can import that media if they already have it in their Google Drive, which is the most convenient usually. They can also record to create new media, and we're going to do that here in a second. Or they can upload it if they're working on like a Windows machine, or actually even on a Chromebook if they have something saved to the downloads, then they can import it from that file location as well. So right now we're going to go ahead and record just so that you have a little bit of footage to work with besides, close that up there, besides the project media that I put in there for you. So when you click record, most likely you'll be prompted to ask for allowing both your camera and your microphone. If you're not prompted, then maybe you've already done that in some capacity, but it should prompt you in the top left to allow both of those. And then you can choose if you want to record your screen and webcam, or just record your webcam. So once you've made your selection, then it'll pop up with a little preview, and then you can start recording. It'll give you a countdown, and then you can record your new media and then click stop. You can view that media if you'd like. You can choose to record again, or you can click save. And if you click save, I'm actually going to cancel here because I realized I didn't put it in my folder. I'm going to open my training folder first. Then I'm going to record so I know where to find it. And then if you're happy with the recording that you have, then you can click save, and it will appear there in the folder or in your big My Media folder if you did not create a folder. So I'm going to give everybody just a second to go ahead and record a short clip on their own. Again, record, and you can choose webcam. You can record from your screen or screen and webcam. All right, hopefully I'm not interrupting too many recordings here. So once you have some media there, again, it's in your My Media, and then if you have folders, then you open that folder when you come back to your edit to be able to access that same media. Then before we get any farther, we're going to go ahead and name our videos, and we can do that in the top left-hand corner where it says My Video. You're going to go ahead and click and rename your video. I'm going to call it Training Video 1. If you don't rename your video, like if a student doesn't rename their video, then when they go to publish, they'll be prompted to rename it at that point. Sometimes kids just keep clicking, and so you end up with a video from them that's called My Video. But it's good practice, of course, for them to name their videos. And then if they miss that step, when they click finish and they're going to actually publish, that they name it at that point. Okay, so now I want to show you down here. Hopefully your screen looks like mine. It might look a little bit different. I'm going to show you the other version you might be seeing. But this has different tracks. This is track editing. Now, if you're working with really little kids, like kinder and first grade, then you might want to use the storyboard mode. And to get to that, or if you even, just if you like it better in terms of the interface, then you can use that. To get to the storyboard mode, here on the left-hand side, there's the 3 lines. This is a main menu. And at the very bottom here, you'll see switch to storyboard. And Hannah, I just saw version history. We're going to check that out in a second here. And then it's going to tell me that my video is going to look different. I can go ahead and switch. And you'll notice that it's set up in a way that's a little bit more designed for a younger audience, where the visuals are there for them and they're not worried about the tracks and worried about lining things up as much. So if you're doing a very simple video, or you just want to introduce it first to the kids and then move on to the track editing, then that's an option as well. But this is the storyboard mode. And again, you can access that with the 3 lines, top left. And then to switch to timeline, you would do the same. So I would suggest that you do that from the beginning, right? You decide what mode you're going to use. And so you don't have to go through all those steps that I just did, where it tells you that you're going to switch and it's going to change the media that you have or the order that you have things. So I would decide what mode you're going to have kids work in first. And then I want to check real quick here. Here we go. So Hannah, it does have a version history. So it will let you know at least who edited it and when they edited it. And it looks like you can also see possibly what they did. So we'll check that out after we do more edits and see if it actually can give you very specific information on who edited what. All right, moving on. I'm glad you asked that question. Okay, so now we're back in our timeline mode. We see our different tracks. You notice this one's called video, this one's called text, and then I don't see an audio one yet because I haven't added any audio. But if I would like to add more tracks, then I can. And that's on the left-hand side here. You'll see that little addition symbol. It says add a new video or audio track. So I could go ahead and add, and maybe I want to make sure that I have a track ready so that when I want to drag down music, I can do that. So I'm going to have you do that as well. So again, left-hand side, above those tracks that are currently there, the little addition symbol, you can click audio and click add track. Here I have my audio track down here. Now, sometimes you have to work with a whole bunch of tracks. Personally, I like to have my video and most of my text on the same track, but you and your students will figure out what works best for you. But we're going to start working a little bit here in a second in kind of like what we have here on our timeline and how we can manipulate that. Before we do that, I want to introduce you to the other navigation up here. So we already talked about my media here and record. As I mentioned, when you're ready to import footage, you can browse to select it from a file location on your computer, or you can also import from Google Drive or from OneDrive. As adults, we can, right? We're not using OneDrive with students yet, but since we're using it as teachers, then you could also import from OneDrive if you'd like, or if you use Dropbox, then you can also import from Dropbox. And then one of the nice features of the paid subscription is that you also have access to the stock media. So if your students are just getting to know the software, if you just want them to create something quick, then stock media might even be the way to go. So you could click and you could search for whatever you wanted. So now that I'm with the zoo here, I'm thinking that I want to search for elephants, and it will show me all the stock media that it has for elephants, both images and video clips. So it has quite a bit of stock media. So again, that is one of the benefits of the paid features. One of the other benefits is that all the stock media that's included in WeVideo, just like all the audio tracks, are already copyright cleared. So there's no copyright issues with them. So if you do have your students share their videos online, or you do have them use their videos for competition, then you know that if it came from WeVideo, that you don't have to worry about copyright issues with it. So go ahead and right now choose anything you want from the stock media, and you're going to bring it down onto your timeline, and you have a couple choices. You can either drag it um, right where you already have that clip, and you'll notice it turns yellow. And when it turns yellow, it's kind of like a stoplight telling me, wait, what do you want to do? And if I take my hands off my mouse, then I'll see the options, and here I can replace it if I want, or I can insert it and push, and that'll move my media to the media that was currently there to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I see my elephants here. And you'll notice that right now, this looks like a really, really long clip. And that's because I am pretty zoomed in. So in the bottom right-hand corner, I can adjust that zoom tool so that I can see all of my media at once. And I can see my clips here, and I can see my clip here. Now, if I were adding media after that clip that I had originally created, then I could drag it behind that, and you'll notice that it's green telling me, yep, you can put it there, no big deal. If I try to put it on a track that doesn't take video, or if I have something just in the way and I don't have the option to move the other clips, then it'll turn red. So go ahead and bring in some stock media, whatever stock media you'd like. And if you make a mistake, you can always click the undo arrow.
Erica, what's the difference between putting like video, video, video versus like video 1, video 2, video 3? Because I realized I did something, I must have added a video, and so then it put it on 2 different lines. So what's the difference between the two?
Well, okay, so let me just play these right here. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see the both. So take this one up here actually. Start here. You notice that like here I had my video still playing here, but whatever's on top of it there would like take precedence, right? So if you wanted like audio from one video, but then you wanted another video playing on top, then you could work it that way instead of having to like adjust the audio track. So that would be one thing that you could do with it. I personally prefer, and I think especially starting with students, it's better if they just have all their video on one track so they can
Okay.
see where everything is. But yeah, but if you end up needing to like layer things where you want to be seeing one video, but you want to hear the audio track from another video, or in a minute when we look at call outs and different text, you can kind of see how that layers on top of it as well.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you get too many tracks, like down here, I had added that extra audio track and you want to get rid of them because it's too much. Those 3 dots again offer you a menu, and you can always delete a track if you don't need it anymore, or you can move them around. You can move them up and adjust them if you need to. All right, so hopefully everybody has some footage. You'll notice here my playhead, my blue playhead here, I can move this around. I can click on it and I can drag it to wherever I would like. We're going to use that in just a second when we trim some clips. But before we do that, we're actually going to move back to our main navigation up here. And we're going to go ahead and add some text. So go ahead and click on text. And then again, with the paid version, there's all kinds of options for the text portions of the video. These here static are exactly what they sound like. There's no movement, there's no motion as part of the text. And then they have some seasonal ones if you're creating a video that's specific to an event. The call outs we'll look at here in just a second. But go ahead either in the motion, static, or seasonal, find a title that you'd like. And then go ahead and take that title and then drag it down to the very beginning of your video. So again, right now I have text and it's going to show up above that video. But for this, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put it at the front of my video so I know where my video is going to begin and where my text is going to end. So I'm going to pull it on top of my video. I'll get that yellow and then I'll click insert and push. And again, I could put my text on the top and keep all of my text on one place, but I usually like to have them at least start on the video so I know like, okay, this is how long I have my text showing for, and then the video will play. For me, it works better organization wise. So go ahead and choose a title and bring it down. And then we're going to go ahead and edit that title. So to edit that title, I'm going to go ahead and I can just double click, or I can click one time and then I can find that little pencil icon that's kind of like your standard default edit symbol. So if I double click or use that pencil, I'll get my menu here. And this is where I can customize my title. Title for my video. And then for most of them, you can change the font, you can change the color schemes, you can change the size of the font, all of that. And then that's like the little conversation bubble is going to tell you like what text you're going to see. And then if you click on the icon next to it there where it says transform, then I could rotate the title if I wanted to. I could flip it, right, horizontally or vertically. Or for the scale, if I wanted to zoom in and I wanted it to appear bigger on my screen, or it's kind of like a cropping tool as well. Like if there's something I want to take out of the background, then I can use that scale part. Or if I want to position it here, then I can specify using those coordinates where I would like that to appear, or I can simply click in my little preview and drag it to where I would like it to appear. So those are those two tabs you can play with for just a minute. If you do something you don't like it anymore, then there's those little reset buttons on the right-hand side, and that will take it back to whatever the default settings are for them. If you'd like to preview how it's going to play out, you can click play in the little preview window here. You can go ahead and put a grid if you'd like, if you're adjusting things and you would like to see where that fits, or if you're trying to be very specific about how you want to line something up, and you can do that as well. And then once you've made all the changes that you want to make, you'll click Save Changes. And at any point, you can go back to it, double click, or click on that pencil and make more changes. All right, so also on that menu, if I do a single click, and it's the same here on both video and for text, I have a couple of other options. I can change the opacity of it. So if I want to fade in, fade out for a certain number of seconds, then I can adjust that here. And then I can also add effects to that text, or that I've actually never added effects to text now that I think about it. I could try that today. But you could add it to both your video clips, or I'm wondering if it'll even work for the text. Ah, it did for the colored parts of it, the part at the bottom that actually had color. Um, so you can do that directly from the clip, clicking one time, getting to those, or you can delete it. You can also delete by clicking on any clip that you have and then hitting backspace, and that will take it off of your timeline as well. Go ahead and undo so it's back here. And again, those menus you get from clicking one time on any of the media that you have there on your timeline. Okay, so at this point, hopefully people have some text and they have some video. So now we're going to talk about editing some of what we see here on the screen. So one of the things that's common, of course, is going to be to trim your clips, right? To take off some of the beginning, take off some of the end, or sometimes split it so that you can take off a portion that you don't want at all. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. So if I'm working here on, actually, I guess I'll adjust my text here first. So if I wanted to shorten this, I could come to the end of my clip here, and I can do that technically on either side, beginning or end. And when I do, I'll see those horizontal arrows. And if I click and hold, I can adjust the length of whatever that clip is, and it's going to trim it. So it will take off the end. Obviously with the text, it doesn't matter because it's not actually footage, it's just words. But if it was somebody talking, then it would take off the words that they say at the end or take off the words that they say at the beginning. Then at that point, I might want to adjust some of the other things that I have here on my timeline. So if students are going to adjust things like their titles, they might want to put that in first and adjust the length of that so they don't have to do as much of this later. But I can drag then my clips so that I can line them back up with my other parts of my video. And then if I want to select more than one, I can click on one clip and then I can hold Shift and click on another, and then it will select both of those clips so I can drag them over at the same time. And just like before, if I'm going to try to put it on top of another clip and it's going to give me red if it says like, nope, you went too far, it'll be green, letting me know that I can still put the clip there. So again, you can drag from either end. So go ahead and just slightly adjust your title and then maybe move your other clips so that they're still aligned time-wise. And then another way that you can trim the clips is using our little scissors here. So if I move my playhead, let's say, for example, I want to cut off that first half of that clip. Right now, my scissors are grayed out because this is the clip that's selected. But if I click here on this clip, then I see, okay, my scissors are available now. I can click on those scissors, and then whichever part I want to get rid of, I can click on that clip and just hit backspace or click that delete icon, the trash can, and then I can move my videos back over. And I will say, especially for students, but as adults too, using a mouse is a lot easier with WeVideo. I am not right now. I'm using a trackpad, and I will say it is a little bit more challenging. So those are the two main ways students and you will be trimming clips, either by adjusting from the ends, or you can cut out, of course, little portions in the middle. So maybe I didn't want that part, and I didn't want this part right here, but I did want the beginning and the end. So I can use those scissors to create a break in that clip wherever I'd like it to be. And then I can adjust it there. Okay, so go ahead and trim your clips. Just try both of those options using the scissor icon as well as trimming from the ends. And then Hannah, while people are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and look at my version history here. Oh, it just shows like the overall edit. But at least you can restore. So it doesn't look like it shows the individual changes that were made. Bummer. But if kids need to restore back to an old version, you can get to that at least. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the options on editing clips. So you'll.
Erica, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Every time that I have a video, like, so I have two different videos, but like if I want to take one of them and cut it, it deletes everything that I have past that. So if I have, say, 3 different videos, but I want to just cut half of the middle one out every time I click on the right side to delete just that, it deletes everything to the right. Is there a way to like stop that?
Is it blue around those clips? Like, does it look like they're all selected for some reason?
Uh-uh. Like it's like has a gold around the one. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I hit the like scissors to cut it, then
Mm-hmm.
it puts a gold around the second one, but every time, and then the next one that doesn't have, it almost looks like gray, but when I hit the trash can, I'm assuming that's how I delete it, it was deleting all of it.
It was like yours would have deleted these two clips too?
Yeah, so did I do something wrong?
The only scenario in which I would see that happening is if they were all selected somehow.
Okay.
I have
Well,
never had that. Yeah, I've never had that happen.
It sounds like you just need to click off of the one on the right and click on
Mm-hmm.
the left. And when you do that, there will be a 3-bar menu where you can delete.
a 3-bar menu?
Yeah, like when you split it and you have your right-hand side is now gold. Go back to the part that you split that you want to get rid of, click on it, and you'll see 3 little lines in a black box. And that will pull up for you again a trash can. So you can trash can the one to the left rather than to the right.
Are you seeing that, Trisha? What I don't. I'm
No, I
showing
don't
here
see
on my
those 3
screen.
little lines. I see where you're getting the 3 little lines. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
those 3 little lines.
So I think once you click out of it, I don't think you're. Oh no, you do still see it here.
Yeah, that's weird. I see the 3 little lines on yours, but when I click out, click in, no matter which one I click on, it doesn't have the 3 little lines.
Okay.
I'll keep playing. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then if you would like to edit a clip that you have that has, you'll notice that if I click on this one, the options that I have here are slightly different than this one. And the 3 little lines are just there because it doesn't have enough space for me to see that full menu right now. So maybe your clip's long enough that you're not seeing the 3 lines because you should see the menu, hopefully. Maybe that was the issue there, Trisha, for not the 3 lines. But you'll notice on this one, I also see the sound icon here. So I can look at the audio options if I'd like. So I can do my audio fade here in and out if I'd like. So I could decide how many seconds I would like it to fade in for or how many seconds I'd like it to fade out for. And then I can also adjust volume here. Or if I'd like to mute it, then I can turn my volume off. I can also, if I double click on my clip there, then I'll see all of these menu options here. So we already kind of looked at transform, what that looked like before. And so you could use that scale again if you're trying to take off some of the parts of like kind of basically to crop your clip that you have there. You can flip it, rotate it, position it where you'd like. Again, you can drag it if you'd like, or you can use the coordinates to position. Here again, I can also crop if I'd like using this menu on the second tab. The audio menu here, this tab, I can again adjust the overall volume. I can do my fade in and fade out from here, or if I'd like to mute my clip altogether, I can mute it. If I would like to fade the clip in and out, then I can set my fade settings here as well. So if I'd like it to be, I could do that again from the main menu when I click on the clip, or I can do it from here. And then I can also change the position, like where it starts and then where it ends if I would like. So if I want a clip that looks like it's moving across the screen, then I can use my start and end here. If I'm using a green screen and I need to take out that green background, this is where I would do that. Now, obviously, I don't have a background in mine here, but I would be able to select the color that I would like to remove. I would click on the keying tool, and then I would click on that background in the actual clip itself. And that would allow me to select that color as the one to remove. So if you're using a green screen, you would be using that color keying here. Then I can adjust any of the brightness, saturation, all of that for my clip as well. And then the speed. So if I'm trying to slow that clip down or if I'm trying to speed it up, then I can use that menu here. So go ahead on any of the clips that you have, specifically if you have the shared media, that has my voice, so you can practice muting or adjusting audio, then you can do that. Or if you recorded one yourself, use that clip. But go ahead and just for a couple minutes, take a look at the options that you have here in your menu. So again, you can look at what you have right above. You can double click on the clip, or you can look at what appears just by selecting the clip in the timeline. All right, we're going to add some audio and some narration, and a few other things, and then we'll look at templates as well. Okay, so we've looked at the stock media, we've looked at my media and how you can import new media or record. And even if you just have a webcam and your students have a computer that they can use and they want to like move the webcam over to somewhere else to be able to do their recording, if you have a laptop or even a Chromebook should work for it, be able to plug in your webcam. That gives you a little bit more space so they don't have to use the built-in webcam on the Chromebook. So they should be able to use that even if you don't have any equipment in your classroom. We know at least all of us do have at least one webcam, and so hopefully you can utilize some of that. And then narrate here is going to be something we're going to look at in just a second as one of our audio options. We did look at text, so we had our motion texts, and then of course you can add credits at the end as well. And then here on our audio tab, we're going to see different sound effects as well as audio tracks that are available to us. So again, with the paid version, there's the premium music as well, and that's categorized into different categories of like moods. And then there's the free music as well. So if students choose a song, they can click to preview it and play it. It'll show that it's playing over here on the right. So once they choose a song, then they can drag that down to their audio track. Let me scroll down here. So I can drag that down to my audio track. Notice that it wasn't allowing me to put it on my video track, but it will allow me to put it on my audio track. So go ahead and just take about a minute to look through some of the songs and choose a song and drag that down to the audio track that you have on your timeline. I'm going to show you a couple things you can do with that. All right, so once you have your audio track there, one of the things that you can do that gets very handy, especially if you're also going to be using narration or other items, again, you have those three dots. One thing you can do is you can click Show Levels. So if you click those three dots, one option you should see is Show Levels. And then it will show you like what percentage of that volume it's going to be playing at that point. And then anywhere along that level that has appeared, I can click to add an audio point. And once I've clicked to add an audio point, I can drag those to adjust what I want the audio to be like. So if I want it to fade in, I can start at a 0% volume. And then my next audio point here could be at 100% volume. And then maybe I'm going to add some narration here. So I'm going to let my audio fade, and notice I can drag it to the right, I can drag it to the left and up and down. So I can shorten that transition in the volume, or I can make that a longer transition in the volume. But maybe I want the music to play just a little bit while I'm narrating, so I'm going to bring it down to 4%. Maybe I want it to be at 4% here as well. This is where having a mouse is a lot handier than a trackpad. And then maybe I want it to go back up to full volume again. And again, I did that by those three dots. I chose show levels. Of course, right now, hide levels is my option because I'm already showing. And then I clicked on my volume indicator here, and then I can use those points to adjust. So that again becomes handy if you have students that are narrating parts of their videos, but they still want music in the background, or they want music to be louder in certain parts of their video. Instead of having to cut the clip and then adjust the volume for each part, it's nice to be able to have kind of a more subtle transition. And so right now, if I were to play it, it's fading in, fading low again, and then I hear it quite a bit again. All right. And then you also might end up adding narration, and that's back again here in the My Media, because it's going to be added to your media. It'll be in that library then, if it's something that you have like a voice recording that you've done. So students can do a voiceover of their videos. So if I click narrate, down here at the bottom, it gives me that option to record. It'll give me my countdown again. I could say, elephants are my favorite animals. And then I stop my recording. I can preview it here. And once I've done my preview, then I can record again. If I didn't like my recording, I could just cancel, be done with it, or I can save that recording. And once I save that recording, then it's going to appear here. It's going to create a track for me, and it's going to create that voiceover track. So maybe I wanted that voiceover over here where the music was low and it's showing my elephants, so that when I play it, the music goes down. And then you hear both the music in the background and you hear the narration. So again, to narrate, that's in My Media and narrate. So I'll give people just a couple minutes here to add some narration. You can also show the levels like you did with your audio after you've narrated. All right, we're going to go through a couple more things here, and then I want you to at least like try a template, see what it looks like, so you can anticipate how you might do things differently with your kids, or if you're teaching from a template versus a full edit. And then we'll go over some questions and do attendance. So back here on our main navigation here at the top, our tabs, we've got our text that we talked about. We just did some audio. And then here we have transitions. So transitions are what they sound like, how to transition from one clip to another. So to add a transition, I'm going to simply select that transition and drag it between the two clips where I would like to put that transition. So notice that if it's not actually, if there's not a space for that transition, if I try to drag it into the middle of a clip, for example, it's not going to let me do that. It'll give me green where I can put it. So then when I add a transition, it is going to slightly trim that clip so kids can understand that as well. And then it'll allow them to do one a little bit more obvious. So that will allow them to transition from one clip to another. They can click here if they would like to change the duration of the transition, just like we've clicked on the clips here to find any editing options. They can click on the transition to see their editing options as well. And if they want to change for more than one, then they can click for all transitions that they want to, whatever their the changes are that they're making. Or if they'd like to delete that transition, then they can use that trash can again to delete the transitions. So you can just add a couple of quick transitions into your video. Rainbows and ornamentals are always favorites with kids. All right, and then our other tab here with backgrounds. Bring a background in here. Actually, let me undo that. So another option when you bring something down and you're given the option to insert and push, sometimes is to trim to fit, so it will fit what you have there. So that is If you want it to fit exactly within that space that you're placing it, then that's the option you're going to want to choose, is the trim to fit instead of insert and push, so you don't have to drag things back to their place on the timeline. So here's an example, Trisha, where you might be using this video line here and our text here. If I want this background for my words, for example, for the title, then I can place it here on my video track. I can have my text above it, and then I can see both that background and my text. And so kids can kind of play with those things and see, is the order that they have them in working for them? Do they like the look of it? And try those out. You can do that with video clips as well, but usually students are probably going to want to use it there with their titles in particular. And then the folders on the left-hand side just give you a few other options that you can put in. So if I were to add my bang to elephants, then I have it here on top of my video clip, so it's going to show up as an overlay on that video clip. So I can add one of those overlays, or there's frames that you can add as well. So if I wanted to add that frame to my clip, then that is there as well. And then for one more overlay option here in that, actually, sorry, it's in the text. We looked at callouts, but didn't show those before. So here, if I wanted, maybe I wanted this frame and I wanted my elephant and I wanted one more, I'm going to go ahead and add a new track here. And then on that track, maybe I wanted to put the arrow and I want to adjust it to show that it's pointing to this particular elephant. Go ahead and click to move it here. Then I can save my changes. And then again, here I have all those different tracks layered upon each other to be able to put all those components of the video together. So I've got my video, I've got my frame, and I've got my call out. Obviously, you want to teach kids to use those things sparingly because it's really, they can kind of overuse them in a way that does not help their video. But those options are there. And just like any of the other clips that you have, if you double click, you can get those, whatever the different editing options are. So like if I wanted to move this arrow, I wanted it to start here, and then I wanted it to end here, then I can adjust that and I can have it move and be animated within my video. Any questions about those things that we've covered so far? I think there's just one other thing on the timeline here I want to cover, and then I want to just take a look at the templates before we wrap up.
Erica, can I ask you a question? So
Yeah.
I have like the background effect in, and then underneath it at the same time I have text, but the text, you can't see the background through the text. Is there a way that you have to do it to make, like how you had where you can see the hearts and you can see the elephants?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see my background when the words are there.
Okay. Is your background on top of your text?
It's the top one is video, then I have text, and then I have audio. That's like my level from.
So do you see here how I have my blue one? My background is technically like if I looked at my tracks, it's sitting on top of my text.
Yeah.
So you're going to want it to be the opposite. So you're going to want your text to show up on top of that background. You're going to drag your text up above your background. So if you have a track available, you can just put it on top of it on that other track, or you can add a new track. Does that make sense? So the order does matter.
Okay, so I want it on top because I had it the opposite and then it didn't. And then I didn't, so then I switched it. Okay, so I'll keep playing with it to see because it seems like it's not showing. So I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Maybe I'll have you share your screen here in a second when we wrap up. Okay, So one other thing, and I'll show it with these two. One thing that students can do, if they select two clips, like this, for example, they can snap them together using this icon here. That way, if I move them, they're going to move together. So if I move one, then I'm moving both of them. Oops, did I not snap it? Hold on, let me bring it back. Come on back, background. Okay. Let me snap. Yep, now it's moving together. So if I select those two clips and I snap them together, then when I move them throughout my video, then they'll move together. So sometimes if kids have an audio file that needs to go along with a specific clip, or if they have text that goes along with a specific video or with a specific background, then they can snap those together using that feature here, and that'll allow them to move those clips all together so that they're not having to drag them individually and trying to line them up again. Okay, so then when students are all finished, and I'm going to have people go ahead and publish their videos, they're going to click finish, and then you can choose the quality of the video. Or if you are recording something and you just honestly need the audio, then you can do that as well. So students will not see quite as many options as you do, I think. I think we have more options available for teachers. If they're given multiple thumbnails here, they can choose what the thumbnail will look like. So we want them to set it for Google Drive so that they can access Google Drive. They'll have a WeVideo folder that appears in their drive, and that's where they can get to their exports, or they can get to them through WeVideo. And then this is saying that it will also publish it to WeVideo, which you want them to do. It is set as private by default. We have that in the settings for students, so we don't want their exports to be publicly viewable, but we want them viewable to you. So once they're all finished, they'll click export. I should have cut down on my clips there before I published it. So it'll take a little bit. It'll tell them that their video is queued. And then I'm actually going to go back to home here. And then as a teacher, if I have my training group here, I go to my project, then I can see all the edits that students have been doing. So if I would like to look, and these might be publishing right now, so they're locked. But if I would like to look at the videos that students are creating, then I go back to that project that I've created, and I can open up and I can see their video. And then one super handy thing, if I come to a part of their video and I want to give them some feedback, I can click right here where we looks like I don't know what to call the shape right now, but there's a plus sign. I can add a marker and I can give it a comment, right? So comment 1, or I could tell them like if whatever title I'm going to give for those markers. And then I can add a comment for them. Like, I loved this transition. Check your audio, right? So I can go into their timelines and I can post those comments for students. And then when they come back to their edit, they're going to see a little marker that was left here for them. And then they can click to view that comment that you've left for them. So you can give them feedback on their work as they're working on their videos. And again, that's here. If I'm in my at my home page here and I go to my groups and I go to my group project, once I open that project, that's where I can see all of their different videos. And then if for some reason here I needed to, like if a student had created something that we wanted to use kind of like as a template, then I can duplicate that. Or if I need to finalize their video for them, right? Maybe they're having issues publishing, then I can do that as well. And then we can see here, looks like mine is the only video that fully published, but then here I would see those exports for the project, which videos have been published fully. Any questions about that, about going back in as a teacher, going to your group, opening up that project and being able to view their work? Okay, so then just real quick, before we go, before I put the attendance in, I do want you to look at, oops, hold on, let me go back into my project here. If students were to create from a template, they could come here to create new and they can choose from a template. My templates would be ones that they've already used, and then they could go to the main library. If they choose to use a template from here as they hover over it, then they'll see that option for use. And then you'll notice when they're using a template, it'll already have pieces in there for them. So sometimes I think it's harder for students. A template's easy in the sense that it gives them some structure to their video, but it can be harder in that if they don't know how to trim clips or move things around yet, then that can be challenging. So you might want to have them kind of play with the software first before they're using their template. I'm gonna stop. It'll have pieces in here, like it'll already have video for me. It might already have music. It might even have video. And you can see here with this clip, obviously this person was in front of a green screen and then they removed that color from the background. So it'll give them a lot of structure to the video, but it also might stifle creativity in a little bit or make it challenging for them to have to move quite a few pieces around or get rid of pieces that they don't want. So that'll probably depend on the age group you're working with, how much experience you've given them with WeVideo before you have them use templates.